Hi guys, it's Norman Sullivan from Higher Ground Lifestyle here. I hope you're staying safe. COVID haircut. Listen guys, today I want to talk about something a little bit different. It's something that's interested me for some time. It's not the reason why I bought a Jimny, but it's something that I think is worth having a chat about, and that's the value of used cars. Let's see how we get on. Now, anyone who has taken an interest in the Jimny over the last couple of years since it's been in production has probably looked on with interest at the prices that used cars have actually been making. So I thought it was worth us doing a brief video and getting your views as to what you think is going to happen with the value of used Jimnys next. These are my thoughts. I value your comments at the end of the video. So whether you own a Generation 4 Jimny or maybe you're just interested in owning one, values are clearly really interesting and they're really important. And in this video, I want to have a chat about what those values are actually doing at the moment and what they might do in the future. The video is completely unscripted, so as all my videos are, so please accept that. It's maybe me just having a bit of a chat. But there are a few key bullet points that I'd like to cover that I think are absolutely relevant to the current and maybe future price of Jimnys. But ultimately, I would value your opinions on these things. Because I don't know what's going to happen to the price of Jimnys in the future, but let's run through some of the issues that might be relevant. I have to say as well, a bit of a disclaimer, this is not intended to be any kind of definitive guide to the current prices of Jimnys. It's just my thoughts. I also have to declare an interest here. The reason I'm particularly interested in this just now is I'm selling one of my Jimnys and I want to know what I should reasonably expect to get for it. So unashamedly, that's a factor for me too. Remember also, I'm talking about issues that are relevant to the UK in particular, and the prices that I'm using are UK pounds. There are a great many issues that might well affect the Jimny in your local marketplace, wherever in the world you are, because I know we have people who follow the channel from literally all over the world. So again, I'd be interested to hear if there are particular issues in your part of the world that might be relevant. First thing, value and investment is not why I bought a Jimny. Frankly, I bought a Jimny because I really wanted one. Our Jimny story started about 3 or 4 years ago. My wife and I were looking for a replacement 4x4. We had a Land Rover Defender at the time. It was too big, it was too clumsy, and we decided we wanted something smaller. Did a bit of research and I thought, well, one of the proper little 4x4s on the market is the Jimny. And we went to our local Suzuki garage and we went for a test run in a Generation 3 Jimny. And I thought it drove like a bag of spanners. Didn't like it at all. But guy in the garage who have subsequently become very friendly with said, but you know, look, there's a new Jimny coming out. It's probably going to be in the UK next year. Keep an eye on it. So that's when I first got interested in the Generation 4 Jimny, and I followed it from long before it ever actually hit the UK shores. And in reality, I was following the car for probably 3 years at least before I managed to own one. And for at least one of those years, I was on a formal waiting list to get a car. And that's obviously the first thing that's had a really positive impact on prices. The length of time that people were waiting for a car, the huge build up, and there was an awful lot of interest in the car before it hit the marketplace, and it was very, very well managed by Suzuki. They created a lot of interest and there were different things. I was being drip fed information all the time and snapshots and pictures and images, and I was thinking, wow, you know, I was so unimpressed with the Generation 3, but I'm desperate to have a go at this Generation 4. And as a result of that, when it came into the showroom, I had the first test drive of the local car here, our local dealership in Scotland, and the day I drove it, I said I want to own one of these. So that build-up really worked for me, and that definitely led to a huge number of people being really, really interested in the Generation 4 Jimny car. 2 years was a long time to wait. I think also, however, that length of wait maybe had a little bit of a negative effect. I know of 1 or 2 people who got caught up in the hype. They wanted to buy a car and they thought this is fantastic and they waited so long for it. And then when it arrived, it wasn't the car they expected because they hadn't done the research. They thought they were buying something else. They thought they were buying a cute looking family car that did everything. They didn't realize this is a functional car. This is a proper off-road 4x4 car with the inevitable compromises that come with that. So maybe that had a little bit of a negative effect. And there were certainly 1 or 2 cars that changed hands very quickly. quickly after ownership. People who just, it wasn't what they expected. They got caught up in the hype. They didn't know what they were buying. But that difficulty getting one, and that ongoing difficulty in getting one, that rarity of the car, clearly that's holding values up. There were only ever a few thousand of these cars came to the UK, and effectively you cannot now get one in the UK unless you're buying it secondhand. And that's maintaining prices, has to be, definitely. There's a cult around the car. A cult developed very quickly around the car, aided, I think, by the kind of people who were buying it. The demand came from different groups of people, I think. It came from historic Jimny lovers, people who had always had Jimnys and they were desperate to get a new one. And I actually think a lot of them got squeezed out. They got squeezed out by people who had no interest previously in Jimnys. They just wanted the new Jimny. So there were serious off-roaders. There were the old ladies, no disrespect, who wanted a high car to take their dogs for a walk in. There were proper 4x4 lovers. There were people who used their 4x4 for work like myself. But there was another really important group, I think, that picked up in the Jimny, and that was car lovers. It's never ceased to amaze me, the people who have got Jimnys in their garages alongside some really, really nice, really flash cars. It's a cult car, and people who like cars wanted to own one. That also obviously has affected values. And what are those values at the moment? Well, I did a bit of research before I came on just now. Well, first thing is you cannot get one of these cars new in the UK now. They've even removed them from the Suzuki website, so you can't get a Jimny through Suzuki UK new. If you look at the used Suzuki, the official prices are 13 used Suzuki Jimnys listed in the UK at the moment on Suzuki website. It's not a lot of cars. They range in price from about $23,250 for a 2018 stock SZ5 to £40,000 for a 2018 Liberty Walk. That's the mini G-Wagon. If you want to spend £40,000 on a car that somebody else has taken and, in my humble opinion, destroyed, you know, that's your walkout. That's maybe a chat for another day. Bit controversial. So 13 cars on the official UK site. On Auto Trader, there are 7 cars. And of course, we're only talking about Generation 4 here. So 7 cars on Auto Trader, ranging in price from $25,000 to $30,000 for standard SZ4 and SZ5 spec UK models. They've also got a Liberty Walk for about $35,000. On motors.co.uk, there are 5 Generation 4 Jimnys. They range in price from £23,495 to £25,490. So realistically, we're talking about cars second-hand that are now up to a year and a half old, ranging in price from around 23.5 absolutely bottom dollar to 27, 28 for standard, not messed about UK cars. These are cars which, when they initially went on sale in the UK, just to put this into context, costed between around 17,500 and around 19,500. Yeah, you could spend more on them if you put more goodies on them, but that's the kind of basic price. So we're probably talking about cars that are trading at the moment between 10 and 25 to 30% over their original list value. That's supercar kind of numbers. But can it go on? Can that continue? I don't think it can. I really don't think it can. I don't think it's going to be a sharp drop, but I think we are now starting to see a number of negative factors that we need to consider. Firstly, end of production of the car that's being sold in the UK. That's got to have an impact on prices. Now, on one hand, it could say, people might say, well, do you know what, if I want one of these cars, I'm going to have to spend some money, and I might have to spend some money now because there aren't going to be any more of them. The model that in the UK looks like it's going to replace the current Jimny model is a commercial version, which we have to assume is probably only going to have 2 seats. So if you want a car that's got back seats in it, you're going to be needing to buy one of these models that are currently already on sale second-hand in the UK. But new models are inevitably going to have an impact on prices. Reliability issues, ownership issues. Well, the cars are only 18 months at the oldest now, so It'll be interesting to see the reviews that start coming through from people who've owned the cars for a couple of years. And clearly, if those reviews are positive, well, they can only have a good impact on resale values. If they're not so positive, then obviously that might be a bit negative. I follow a lot of the forums and I'm on a lot of the forums. There haven't been any major mechanical issues. There have been one or two niggles. There's been some concern about underbody rust issues, which I'm watching closely. I'm interested to see how that goes. But nothing serious at the moment. And frankly, I don't think we have enough data to understand how that's likely to be affected. But it's clearly going to be something we need to think about. Fuel prices, the overall economic situation. This is a big one. This is always a big unknown. How is the world changing? Well, of course, the biggest single thing that's changed is COVID-19. How has that affected the way we use cars? How has it affected the way we buy cars, the way we sell cars? Huge issues, huge issues. I know personally, up until 3 months ago, I drove 3,000 miles a month, most of which, 90% of which was business mileage. In the last 3.5 months since COVID, I have driven no more than 50 miles. We have 7 cars in the family. Cars are my thing. And that 50 miles is across all of those cars. So that inevitably, I think, challenges car ownership and challenges the value that we place on second-hand vehicles. And I think it probably means there are going to be lots of cars out there for sale and lots of people who no longer need cars or certainly don't need as many cars. That's true for me. But on a positive side, one of the cars I have sitting out there, my day-to-day runabout, my car, because I do a lot of miles, is a BMW 5 Series. Fantastic car, does everything I need it to do, takes me anywhere, at speed, in comfort, and I arrive fresh, ready to do my job when I get there. But I don't do any miles anymore. And at the moment, if I had to make a choice between which car of the two I would keep, in terms of my daily runabouts, would it be a BMW 5 Series or would it be the Jimny? Frankly, at the moment, it would be the Jimny. So that might actually have a positive impact on Jimny values. But insofar as most Jimnys are second owner cars, who knows what the overall impact of that might be? The COVID situation is an interesting one and probably the biggest single factor that's going to affect us for a long time to come. So I don't think there's any sense of a huge drop in prices on Jimnys immediately. But I personally think, of course, those prices are going to have to drop, and they're going to have to drop, and they're going to have to realign with more realistic second-hand values over the next 2 to 3 years. In particular, when we get to the traditional trading in point in a car, which in the UK, 3 years is when we have to do our first MOT test, our first kind of test of the mechanical safety of the vehicle. And that tends to be the time that a lot of people change their cars. 2 years and 3 years, and I think we're just coming into those kind of periods just now. So we might see some cars coming through, then that might have an impact on resale values, maybe dropping the prices a little bit. The other really interesting thing, though, looking at these prices on websites, is the impact that the value and the prices that we're placing on Generation 4 cars is having on the most recent, i.e. the newest Generation 3 cars. There are 2017 Generation 3 Jimnys in the UK on sale just now in various different places for £18,000 or more. £18,000 or more for a Generation 3 car. That can only be a bit of a rub-off of the prices on the Generation 4 car. And frankly, that can only be a positive thing in terms of maintaining the prices for Generation 4 cars when they get into that general second-hand circulation. Because we know there are lots of people out there who want to own Jimnys. They don't maybe want to own a new Jimny, they want to own a Jimny at 2 or 3 years old. Insofar as that very limited supply of Generation 4 Jimnys is the only thing out there to satisfy that market, that's got to keep those values up as well. So I don't see any kind of huge collapse in Jimny values Generation 4-wise anytime soon. Where's it all going? I have no idea. I have no idea where it's all going. But I think the resale and the second-hand values of Generation 4 Jimnys are going to stay high, and I think they're going to stay high for some time to come. I absolutely believe that Generation 4 was an instant classic. Absolutely believe it was an instant classic. And I think it's an instant classic that's going to become a cult classic. I think we will always look back in our lifetimes at the Generation 4 Jimny and say, wow, that was a totally different car. Because to a certain extent, it was a car out of time, and it is a car out of time. It's a bit like one of the old comedies in the UK here, Dad's Army, one of my favourite situation comedies. Dad's Army was never in its own time. It was always out of time, and as a result of that, it's never become old-fashioned and outdated. And I think there's something of that around the Jimny. I don't think the Jimny will ever look or feel a little bit outdated. And I also think that maybe there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, though, for people who want to buy a Jimny, because I recently valued my Jimny that I had for sale through an online website, webuyanycar.com. I have dealt with them before, and I have sold old cars through them before for no hassle, to avoid tyre kickers. I was, however, very disappointed to get a valuation for my 2019 Suzuki SZ5 with 4,000 miles on it, with a lot of upgrades, immaculate, excellent condition in kinetic yellow, and they valued it at £13,665. 13,665. Bearing in mind, I have not found another one for sale in the UK for less than 24,500 for a similar spec model. So webuyanycar.com could do better. And they also haven't returned my emails. I've dropped them a couple of emails to say, are you really sure this is correct, guys, in the current marketplace? Maybe it's something you need to have a look at, because if you really want to buy these cars and you still want to, have a chance of getting them, you maybe need to up your offer a little bit and still have an opportunity to make plenty money on them. That's my thoughts. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen to the value of Jimnys? Do you care? Have you got a car that's a keeper? You're saying, I don't care what anybody offers me for. I love this car and I'm going to keep it and I'm going to run it into the ground for as long as I need a car. That's the way I feel about mine. And remember, the only reason I'm selling one of my cars is because I have two of them. And frankly, again, I have to say, why did I buy two cars? I knew how difficult they were going to be to get. And I bought the second car, which was the replacement for my first car. And then I have found it very difficult since then to give up either of them, because with the videos and things I've been doing, I've been able to compare and contrast different things on different cars. I'd value your opinions, guys. The value of Suzuki Generation 4 Jimnys. Is it crazy? What do you think about it? What's happening out there? And as always, thank you for listening. Apologies if this has just been me talking and that's been a bit boring for you. I hope it hasn't. But I do think this valuation thing is really interesting. Talk to me. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think is going to happen, and I will look forward to talking to you again sometime soon. Love to hear from you. Love your questions. Love your ideas of videos. So if there's anything else you want us to cover, I'd be delighted to do that. Guys, stay safe out there. From me, a higher ground lifestyle. All the best. And I hope you've got a better hairdresser than me during lockdown.